Hey, this is Declan Dunn with today's Pivot and Profit podcast, and we're starting to explore a bigger level, the social pivot. And what I want to explore today is how to convert audiences from the context of pleasure to the context of conversion. Now, if you're going out into social media, you probably think you have two choices. Either be this total, embracing the audience, listening and hoping a few people trickle in, the social media expert approach, or you're such a hardcore marketer that you're like, give me problem solution, give me clicks and conversions. Where's the middle ground? Well, that's what I want to talk with you today about. Because the middle ground is not content generating leads or sales, it's context. Context defined is a set of facts or circumstances surrounding a particular event or situation. So just like you, the audience out there in social media is out for themselves and they're out for pleasure. They're not solving problems like they are at Google. It's a little wake-up call. But just like you, they think their glass is full. They've seen it all, they know it all, they want to connect and share with people, and those who participate, who talk a lot, are often the most opinionated. That's what scares a lot of major brands. What you need to do is let them take that knowledge and say, hey, empty that just for the next few minutes in my contest, discussion, issue, question around my product or service, anchored in, and let me take my experience, my viewpoint, and give you something new. Leave you with something new that you can take away and share with your friends. That's what social media is about. That drives sales. So let me show you a little bit about what people are doing, but more importantly, let you know that to get into the right context, you have to understand first what I call branding that generates revenue. Brevenue. Repeat it with me. Brevenue. Branding that creates revenue. If you're a marketer, branding is not an avoidance or delay. And if you're a social media person, ROI does not have to hurt the interaction or the honor or love of your audience. I've built communities and I've done affiliate marketing. They don't have to be two separate worlds. Let's build a bridge. Because what most of us are doing in social media is hiring somebody, throwing it at them with the belief that somehow they'll fool us and get us clicks and conversions. You got to get out of that. You got to start thinking of what branding really is. 1, creating awareness. 2, generating familiarity. And 3, promoting consideration of the product or service. That's where you get leads and sales. And I'll cover that in part 2 of this video. But what I want you to think about is what most of you do with content, which is still just like an old magazine idea, just like this Fast Company. You post up something, events, calendar, something like that, and you put an ad around the side of it, and you call that marketing. And you wonder why it doesn't work, knowing from heat maps that they ignore this side of the equation. Because it's not just about the content. It's about getting them to discuss, engage, and not just that, to get them interested. So number 1, to generate awareness, you've got to do something that's a little bit different, an angle. So if you have a product, talk about some fact that that product either solves or some issue that your people have with that product. For people selling shoes like Zappos, it's really about, does this shoe fit? Is the color right? Is this going to be the right shoe? They end up letting people come in and ask them questions to then promote consideration. But for you starting out in social media, start something simple. Create a discussion, a contest, a sweepstakes, a viral campaign, which means something they'll pass on to create awareness, and that's new. And to do that, don't just sit around alone. Go out in the audience for 2 to 4 weeks. Start looking at what others are doing and start looking at what they're discussing related to current news, related to things that really matter, the evergreen core principles of your product. That's where you create awareness and get a slightly different angle. It doesn't have to be crazy. You're trying to hit their heart. You're trying to give pleasure. Now to do that, you have to understand that part 2, creating familiarity, does not just come along because everybody in a viral campaign passes it on. Viral campaigns, and I'm not talking the freakish ones from YouTube, where somebody does something crazy. You can do that. But I prefer to have something that people really pass on of amazing value. So you need to ask yourself, is this something that I would pass on to a friend? Does this really matter? And you don't ask it of the average user. What you're really targeting in social media is that what some people estimate that 10% of people who comment, participate, tell their opinion, stand out, who are really social. Sometimes they'll drive you nuts, but you have to remember, if you try to stop them, major brands, you're eliminating all this viral energy And all they want to do is approve of you and pass it on to their friends. So the first wave that sees your discussion, contest, your issue you're exploring on a quarterly basis, exploring related to seasons, for example. If you're selling diet products after Christmas, they all try to lose weight in January. Right before they go to the beach in summer, they try to lose weight. Fit it into the context of their life, their pleasure, and then ask the first wave, who are the evaluators, the critics, the reviewers, the people who most likely are not really your buyers. Embrace them, because what they'll do is invite the second wave. They'll go out to their Twitter channels, their Facebook friends. They'll go out to their Tumblr accounts. They'll go out to Flickr, whatever you have. Give it to them visually and video, not just text, to pass around and lead and suggest that people come to what you are doing, to your discussion. Take a stand. Make it interesting. Make it new. That's all you got to do. What can you do to not make maybe a whole new idea, but a new point of view that creates discussion, controversy if you got guts, or more importantly, let the audience be in control, because you're not and you won't be in social media, and they love the illusion of control. But what they're doing is inviting in the second wave, who, if that first wave of reviewers, critics, the people who dominate social media, have given you the thumbs up, or have discussed things, or gotten back and forth. You have a lot of comments on a blog, for example, or your Facebook page shows activity. You've suddenly got this social proof. And all that is some proof of activity. You take it from the content to the discussion. Now here's what's really important. Remember, generating awareness is doing something new, taking an angle on your product or service. And if you don't know it, find out the top 10 questions your customers have asked you. This stuff doesn't change that much. Tie it to season, tie it to your product, anchor your product, and have the discussion about the issues, not your product. But at the center of that universe is your product, okay? And when the first wave comes in, make sure that you're not filled with marketing speak, but that you put it to a way that creates familiarity. In other words, hey, I like what they're doing. I approve of this. I find this willing to tell my friends. I find this willing to pass on. That's what I call virality, and it means getting people to pass it on. I do a lot of marketing to women, and it's very important. They won't just pass it on because you say so. You have to earn their respect, and they're adding value to their friends. And it's not just women doing this in social media. This is the way it's done. Honor the first wave and let them bring in people, because the second wave is usually, if you do it right, is 10, 20 times bigger than the first wave. And they've been invited to consider you. Their friend said you need to know this, so their friend just added validity to what you're doing, to your viral campaign, to your context. Remember, a set of facts or circumstances surrounding a particular event or situation. Here I'm talking about a marketing event, so let's review what we're talking about. Set it up. Really do some research up front. Number one, go out among the people. Be like your customers. Stop sitting with your experts in some room alone. Get out there. And don't expect it to turn into instant conversion. Research and say, I'm looking for the thing, the idea, the difference, and I'm only giving myself 2 to 4 weeks. Don't make this like some college term paper. Number two, bring it in, promote it, and start testing the idea. Social media is great for testing, and understand, just like marketing, that testing is of interest, is of people engaging, of taking a discussion, of participating. And most often, it's not going to work the first few times, so don't expect it to. Build up to that. Don't put it all on one thing, hope for it, and then you get a big old silence, okay? Because the second wave, who create familiarity, create that about your product or service and about the discussion around it by inviting other people, because they've judged you ready. Because in the context of pleasure, you've engaged them, you made them happy, you made them stop that ADD of new media, and slowed them down and considered what you're about and invited their friends. And in part 2 of this video, I'm going to talk to you about how we take generating awareness, creating familiarity, and lead it to number 3 of branding, which is promoting consideration and leading into the world of problem solution, the world of ROI, the world of revenue, what I call branding that creates revenue, brevenue. My name's Declan, and I'm Dunn, and I hope that you get out there and stop using excuses and start realizing social media is not a fad. It is another layer between you and the customer, what we in marketing call 2-step marketing. Talk to you soon.